Testing. Can you hear me? Awesome. Well, this is a nice group right here. Yeah, I know. Good to see you. Shabbat shalom. Yeah, I know. We miss being here in this building together.
Is this the first in person?
It's the first in person in a little while because we had to reclose with the new variants. But yeah, so it's nice to be able to be back here. Is there anyone here who would like the honor of lighting candles tonight?
You do. You know how to use it. You do. You do. Come on, come on. You were on board. I was not. Come on. Cheers.
You can also do it as a group if you want.
If you're undecided, I'll totally do it. I think it'd be more better.
Oh my goodness.
You're getting so much pressure, Jerry. You don't have to do it yet.
Man, later.
In a little bit. I'll let you know when, but thank you.
Will you be doing it with me?
Sure.
Whatever you want to do. Is that the way you do it, St. Louis? Question for you, Rabbi.
Yeah.
I was asking how to do the
Oh, did they have to be new candles? So traditionally, they would be lit and they wouldn't be blown out. So they would go all the way to the down, like all the way to the bottom. And then, yeah, you would use new candles because there'd be no candle left to light. Yeah,
You like the, use a little one. You like it.
exactly. I'm gonna light the little one right before we start, so we can use the little one for
A sham, a sham.
basically, exactly. Yeah, because we call it the Shabbos from Hanukkah. It's basically the Shabbat Shabbos. We just moved it over because I know there have been way too many times where I've been trying to light this and it hasn't worked, and to take that pressure off can sometimes be welcome. There we go. He is not here. He's on vacation this week.
So rabbis are on Zoom.
Yes, we are.
So I can wave to my friends.
When you come up here, yeah.
I told somebody if I turn around, I'm gonna wave to you so you'll know it's you. I'm waving at.
That's funny. Let me just make sure we're live on social media. Want to make sure everything is up and going. Okay, good. It is up and running. Okay. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And being here in the sanctuary once again, it is truly a delight to be able to enjoy that together. I want to just pause. Hold on, everyone who is joining us online, I want to encourage you to mute yourselves just so that everyone will be able to hear as well as possible. Thank you so much. And yeah, I don't know how. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Can people hear online if I'm not wearing this microphone? People who are online, can you hear me without this microphone right now? Can someone just write in the chat whether or not you can hear? Yes, you can? Okay, so maybe I'll go without the handheld mic because microphones are a little bit louder than usual for a reason totally unbeknownst to me. So I'm just going without this microphone and hopefully we'll be fine. All right. So Shabbat Shalom. Let's do this again. And for us to be able to be here, some of us online, some of us in person, is truly a treat, just to be able to see each other's faces. And let's begin this Shabbat with some words on page 124. We enters this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrapped around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, and the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. And I want us to turn back to page 120 as we prepare to light our Shabbat candles, and I'd love to invite up Jerry Ashray to lead us in this blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Yasher Koach. I know, I want to give hugs. We'll get there. Ever so slightly, we'll get there. We continue with Kabbalat Shabbat, this welcoming in of Shabbat, and we are going to turn to page 130 in our prayer books as we sing Lechuna Ranana. Naria, Litzor Yishenu Nekadma, As we turn to L'Chadudi in our prayer books, and we prepare to welcoming the Sabbath bride, page 138, let us also turn to one another and welcome one another with virtual hugs, with love across the room, or with messages of welcome for all of those who are online. Soon those waves will turn into hugs, but we feel the love from wherever we are. Let's join together, page 138. Welcome in the Sabbath bride. We turn to page 146 and remain standing in body or in spirit as we offer the words of the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. turn to page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 150. Ahavat Olam. We turn to the words of Shema on page 152, and whether we say them with our eyes closed or our eyes open, with the words coming out of our mouths or by doing them in sign language, we all join together to say these words which connect us with God and with one another. If you wish, as we turn to page 154 for the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלבתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, amen. Turn to page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 158. It's like, I know that melody, but I don't think it's this prayer. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our goings and our comings, to life and to peace evermore. We continue with our Hashkivenu prayer. Rosale Shabbat is a time for us to find that peace. I know many of us are struggling with a lot of things going on in our lives, friends who are really struggling health-wise. And we hope that we can find peace. We hope that we can find joy on this Shabbat, that this day is a day of healing, that this day is a day of uplift, that this day gives us the sanctity, the holiness that we need in the days ahead. And so we move straight from our Hashkivenu, our prayer asking God to look out for us, to shelter us, to be with us, to a prayer of absolute joy, a prayer of Vishamru, a prayer of celebrating Shabbat. On page 162, please join with me. Barenblatt talks about the symbol that we have in our sanctuary, this really important symbol, the Ner Tamid. It's a symbol that actually appears in this week's Torah portion. And the symbol is meant to be a reminder of God's place continually in our lives. About it, Rabbi Barenblatt teaches, there is a Ner Tamid, an eternal light, in every synagogue sanctuary. But the point of that lamp isn't just to be a lamp. It's there to remind us that it's our job to be sources of light in the darkness. The darkness of grief, the darkness of cruelty, the darkness of fear. We can dispel those with our light. The word tetzaveh, you shall command, the name of the Torah portion this week, the Sefat Emet reads it creatively to mean, you shall bring mitzvot into the souls of the children of Israel, so that they themselves become mitzvot. Bring mitzvot into our souls, and we ourselves will become mitzvot, holy acts, connected at our root to sources of all goodness. That's what is meant by being a light in the world. And we prepare ourselves now to stand before this Ner Tamid for our Amidah prayers on page 164. I'll invite you to rise as you feel ready to do so. Avotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, L'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Mayeh, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Marid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayeh Hakol B'Rachamim Rabim, Zomech Noklim V'Rovei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mechayeh B'Emunatahu, Lishenei Ahavam, Michamocha B'Gevurot, U'Midom Elam, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzliach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'godoshim b'chol yom yalalu chaselam. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please continue with your personal meditations and prayers or until page 181, and you may be seated whenever you feel ready to do so. We prepare now to begin our Torah service, and we're going to be reading from this Torah portion, Parashat Tetzaveh, reading Exodus chapter 28, verses 36 to 38, which we'll talk about in just a few moments. But before we do that, there we go. Before we do that, we have to take the Torah out of the ark. We are on page 200 and, hold on. Here we are. We are on, sorry, my hand's getting stuck on the pages. 362. And I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit. In kamocha ba'ilim Adonai, in kamasecha malachutecha You may be seated. We are going to be reading from this portion, and for the Aliyah, I'd like to invite everyone who has a birthday or an anniversary in the month of February. Any birthdays or anniversaries this month? Is everyone being shy, or they're actually not birthdays or anniversaries? No birthdays? Well, it's my birthday, so I guess I'll be doing the Aliyah. And what about everyone online? Is there anyone online who has a birthday or an anniversary in the month of February? Can you all hear me online? Please put in the chat if you have a birthday or an anniversary this month. We'll wait a second as everyone does that. Jillian Frankel is turning 21. That is wonderful. It's a great birthday to be able to celebrate. Any other birthdays? We certainly will wish you a happy birthday, Jillian. Bonnie's son is 36 today. Happy birthday to David. Well, anyone who has a birthday or an anniversary, Mart and Major have an anniversary. Certainly we're celebrating that as well. So I invite everyone who has a birthday or an anniversary from wherever you are to join me in the Aliyah over the Torah. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. V'asita tzitz zahav tahor u'pitcha elav duchei chotam, kodesh ladonai, v'samta אותו את פתיל תכלת לחייל על המצנפת, על מול פני המצנפת יהיה והייל מצח אהרון ונושא אהרון את עוון הקדושים אשר יקדישו בני ישראל וכל מתונת קודשיהם והיה את מצוות תמיד לרצון להם לפני אדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. And I see there's a couple more birthdays that have come in. Yes. Yes, it is my birthday on Tuesday. And the Picards say that their son and grandson share a birthday on the 20th. And Eve has a birthday. She doesn't want to state how old she is, but she is wonderful, and we're so glad to celebrate with you. And let's see, what else? Frankie Victor is celebrating 80 years. What a blessing. And Pam's grandson is turning 2 years old tomorrow, and Jade Morris is 22. So let us offer this blessing for everyone who is celebrating a birthday in the month of February. Mishaberach avotenu v'yamotenu Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessings to each of you as you celebrate your birthday this year. Each year of your life has been filled with adventures, with loved ones, with joys, and with challenges. Each year has made you stronger and wiser and more compassionate. In this coming year, may you know good health. May you find hidden talents and joys. May you be inspired to grow and learn. May you be surprised in the most delightful ways. May you know that all of us in your congregation pray for your continued good health and strength and well-being, and that your passion remains strong and your joy undimmed. I ask God's blessing on you that you shall go from strength to strength and from blessing to blessing. And together let us all say, Amen. And for Martin Major, who are having an anniversary, I don't know how many years you're celebrating, but certainly we want to offer you a blessing as well. Mishaberach avotenu v'yamotenu. May the one who blessed our mothers and fathers before us under the canopy of life commitment bring blessings to you on your anniversary. Many and varied have been your experiences since your wedding day. In joys and trials alike, O God, you have been with them. So may you continue to be with them for many years to come. As your marriage has brought such blessing, enriching the lives of those you've touched, so may the blessings you've enjoyed continue to overflow with health and goodness, with joy and life-affirming spirit filling your hearts. We all celebrate your sacred partnership for years upon years, and together let us say, Amen. We're going to put away our Torah scroll. And I invite you to rise as we prepare to dress it. hope it's okay. I need to take this off. I cannot breathe. Hold on, give me a second. Masks are not meant for so much singing and moving and everything like that. Okay. So earlier this week, my newly 11-year-old son came to me and said, I'm ready for school. What was he wearing? A t-shirt that was inside out, shorts that were on backwards, and his hair completely a mess. And I said, Noam, what are you doing? You need to dress up for school. And he turned to me, smart boy like he is, and says, I'm ready for school. Mom, you always told me that it's what's on the inside that counts. Too smart for his own good, right? And he's not wrong, at least not totally wrong, because even within our Jewish tradition, our greatest leaders, the people who we look up to, Moses, for example, Abraham, Sarah, Abraham and Moses, what are they? They're shepherds. They don't care much more about their clothes than my son did at that moment. But this week's Torah portion is entirely different, because this Torah portion focuses on clothing, and not just any clothing, but highly ornate garments worn by the high priest. As the Jewish people continue to build their sacred community, to work to create the tabernacle that God instructed them on how to create, they focus on the tangible, highly symbolic objects that are to be included. The priest doesn't just wear a stylish garment. The Torah in great detail discusses the breastplate, the ephod, the robe, a fringed tunic, a headdress, and a sash, all of which he must wear while fulfilling his priestly duties. They are made with rich materials donated by the community, and they have the community written all over them, quite literally. The breastplate contains 12 different stones, one representing each of the 12 tribes of Israel. And not only that, but there are 2 stones of remembrance that are to be created with the names of 6 of the tribes on one side and 6 on the other. The high priest's clothing are weighed down with the responsibilities of serving a great people. From head to toe, the high priest has reminders of his holy work on behalf of his people. But tonight there is one particular garment that I want to focus on, the garment that I chanted about just a few moments ago in the Torah, which is a head covering, or a tzitz, in which there are 2 words that are written upon it. Those words are Kodesh Ladonai, which means holy to God. The rabbis debate about exactly what the tzitz looks like, but there is no questioning its importance. The Torah teaches that we are a holy nation unto God, and yet, as we know, not everything we as human beings do is also holy. But this tzitz, this head covering, serves as a double reminder. It helps the high priest to remember the sacredness of his task, to lead his people in ritual and in prayer. The tzitz is meant to inform the priest's thought process, explains Haktov HaKabbalah, that his eyes and his heart should always contemplate the holiness of God, whose name is worn upon his head. It serves a second purpose as well. Upon seeing the priest, the Israelites read the text upon his head and remember that they are charged to make themselves holy, to be sacred partners with God in creating a more perfect world. The phrase holy to God, teaches Rabbi Eli Monk, relays a message of divine love by proclaiming Israel as a nation consecrated to God. Yet it is also a reminder of Israel's permanent duty to strive ever closer to the ideal of holiness. The tzitz expresses both divine love and Israel's moral obligations. It could be easy. When we look at this Torah portion, when we look at all of these Torah portions at the end of Exodus and read about all of the different objects in a temple that is no longer standing, the garb of priests who no longer exists, we may wonder, what meaning could this text possibly have for us today, right now? As Rabbi Michael Hatton teaches in his book, Passages, Text, and Transformation, we no longer have a temple or priestly garments, but the Torah has preserved their memory for us with something more potent than mere material objects, the eternal text. For some, these texts described old-fashioned curiosities, their faint echoes of archaic artifacts now irrelevant and strange. But for the devoted student of Torah who lives his life inspired by God's words, the descriptions of the priestly garments are forever relevant because they are about engaging the fundamental challenge of being receptive to God's presence and always conscious of our mission. We may no longer adorn or witness priestly robes, but we can place God on our minds and in our hearts. The words of the tzitz, the head covering, have another meaning. The word tzitz, head covering, has another meaning, which is flower, connected to the word suits, which means to bloom, to blossom. There is no longer a head covering with holy words written upon it, but perhaps my son was right, or at least partially right, that it was never really about the clothing to begin with. The importance always lay in its symbolism. What would our lives be like if we lived each day as if the words holy to God were adorned on our heads? How would we treat others if these words were written on theirs? In any age, we can allow the holiness in our lives and our connections to God and others to bloom, to blossom like a flower. Let us strive to create a world in which the words aren't necessary to be written, because the web of holy connection is deeply felt. May we all strive to live as if we bore the words, holy to God. Ken yehi ratzon, may this be God's will. Give me a second. In sacred community, we prepare to offer the words of the Mishaberach prayer, a prayer of healing for people in our community, for people who we hold in our hearts. And as I go around the room, I invite you to say aloud the name of anyone for whom you'd like to offer this prayer. And for everyone who is online, I invite you to write into the chat the name of anyone for whom you'd like to offer it. I know many of us are thinking about Elliot Bruner, about Kathy Mayer, about so many people, Jennifer Hamburg-Roski, Mark Newman, Hadass Nuriel, Jill Halper, Richard Welpo. And as more names come in, I'm going to invite people here to offer names as well.
Richard Sherwood, Norman Cantor, Diane Stedman.
Thank you.
Jaya Beth Maria. Herbert Rubin.
No Ellen. Linda Klinger.
Melissa Polk, Susan Udowitz, Marty Spiegel, Daniel Page and Beth, Elliot Bruner, Sophia Mink. For all of these people, let us offer the Mishaberach prayer, which you can find on page 371.
The
Along with the Mishaberach prayer, we are truly blessed as a community to be able to offer another prayer as well, which is a blessing for people who endure with chronic illnesses. And I invite you to say aloud the name of anyone for whom you'd like to offer this prayer, or to write it into the chat. Actually, first, not to say it out loud, but rather hold the names of anyone for whom we'd like to offer this prayer in our heart. This prayer, as we know from last week's service, is a prayer that was commissioned and is very personal to our community, that Georgia and Gary Friedman Harvey worked with me and Alden Salavi, the liturgist, in order to create this prayer for people who continue to have strength to endure even with chronic conditions. And this is our prayer. God of our mothers and fathers, watch over all who live with genetic disorders, life-threatening medical conditions, and chronic or degenerative diseases. Bless them with endurance and resilience, fortitude and hope, with opportunities to thrive and shine even as their conditions progress. Watch over them, their families and friends, our community, and all humankind. We pray for the wisdom and insight to see each member of our community with clear eyes and an open heart, as another human being, a whole person with hopes and dreams, proud of who they are, striving to be their best selves, struggling with this life, and loving it too, as we all do. Rock and shelter, grant us all the ability to see each other's humanity clearly, to cherish each other's individuality, to care deeply about one another, to mourn our losses and celebrate our victories together, so that we live, act, and pray as one community of care and blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who strengthens our steps. We turn to our Aleinu prayer on page 586 in our prayer books, and I invite you to rise once more. Page 592, we continue. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. I invite you to write into the chat or say aloud the names of anyone you are remembering this Shabbat. So we go around the room. Yes. Is there anyone else? Yeah, Arlene.
Alan Goodman.
I apologize. The list of people that we are remembering today has walked away. But we are remembering all of them, and that's why I'm asking people to say names, because I just don't have it up here. But as we remember Al Zerkis and Paul Wilsbach, Betty Rubenfeld, Josh Huttenberger, Roger Picard, we hold everyone in our hearts as we offer the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. And I invite you to please rise as we remember them. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'amad yivrach cherotei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon uvyomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiram ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be a blessing, and together let us say, amen. For just a second, as I want to thank a few people and invite up Linda to do some announcements. So a huge thank you to Larry Rubin and Andrea Lawrence and Greg Huey on behalf of the Reopening Task Force for being here and welcoming in such a wonderful group tonight. And of course, all of you to being here. And such a big thank you to Bob Bremstein for being here to lead us so beautifully in music. I know we feel the cantor's absence today. We hope he's having a well-deserved vacation, but we're so grateful to you, Bob, for being here today, truly. And I want to also thank you so much, Linda, for not only serving as a greeter, welcoming everyone in, but also offering some announcements. The only problem is the announcement sheet disappeared with everything else. So if you know some announcements, I'm going to check one more time under here. I truly, for the life of me, don't understand what happened to those papers. They are not here, though. Shortest announcements ever. So, hold on, one more thing. Could possibly be right here, maybe. No, wishful thinking. That's not it. All right, well, there's your announcements. Check your email. There's lots of wonderful things coming up, and we hope that you will join us for all of it. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And for those of you who are online, if you want to hang out and go into breakout rooms, I will set that up now so that you can enjoy it. Yes, please sign up for Shalach Manot Purim baskets. And our Super Bowl pool, exactly. It was all set. It's Jim.
Hi, Rabbi. Two things. No reservation for the vaccination status. Bringing until another Thursday back to Rabbi and say that that staff meeting, but she understood who she was and it was clear to you. So we handle
Do you
it.
have the person's name there?
Yeah,
I'm sure his file is.
yeah, no, I just want to, one of your days, even up for it.
Yeah.
Oh. Second thing, I'm on a mission with my classes to okay. Sunday,
Yes, so this
Right.
week has I was hesitant because my computer, which is only 8 months old, decided to die on me this week. So I'm using a different computer, but this computer does not have the capabilities of doing multi-access. But I'm still in my husband's computer and I figured it all out. So it will happen.
so I know Sharon is quite interested.
lovely when that happens.
Anyway, have a great week.
Thanks, you too.
Good night, Bob.
Good night, take care.
So, Brother, do you have an update on Elliot?
I know there's not much change.
Medical-induced coma? Yeah.
Essentially, apparently he's a little bit more responsive today. That's all I've heard, but I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. That's all I got. So,
Frightening.
and
And he's over at Harbor.
yes,
Well,
yeah.
trauma.
But they can't have visitors.
No.
They can only have 2 people a day, and so I haven't even been able to go there because, you know, families in town want to be there, and that makes perfect sense.
So who have you talked to, Jared?
I spoke to Nareet several days ago.
Okay.
Nareet is not on calls right now.
No.
I've been communicating with Jared a little bit, but a lot of it is through Jessica, because Jessica is,
Did he have to have surgery?
I,
We don't know.
I honestly, I don't, there's a lot I don't know, because when I call people about things like this, I don't ask questions for the sake of me knowing. I ask based on what they need to tell me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I tend to not have information, so I'm not gonna make someone read things that they don't.
Yeah, no. And especially Marie, you don't want to read that to her.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that if there's some responsiveness, that's a good sign. I'm so praying that he's gonna not only get through this, but that he's gonna get himself something else.
Well, I saw him Christmas Eve picking up Chinese food, and honestly, I was so surprised because, you know, he was walking with people, like, what's up with you? It's like, yeah, haven't been feeling well. And he didn't talk to me very much. We're in the same Colorado,
Yeah.
which is, you know, totally my fault because I'm kind of backing away from that Colorado, but, he didn't look good.
I haven't seen him in so long. I mean, I communicate with him, but it's on the phone and like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm Zoom Yeah,
I'll do it. I'll be-
okay.
I don't want, okay.